So my name is Julia Clark. I'm a public health major. I'm a sophomore, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm secretary for Planned Parenthood Generation Action on UA's campus. Earlier, we had a protest from 12 to 3, basically petitioning for the University of Alabama to reinstate the non-discriminatory clause in YAF, or Young Americans for Freedom's Constitution. I'm here because it affects me and all of my friends, and I don't think hate has a place here. So I wanted to be here to support my friends, but also show that I will not stand for hate, and I will not stand for discrimination of any kind, even if it's only symbolic. Well, I think it gives precedence for more people to remove their discriminatory clauses, and I think that's just step one. I think that can lead to more regressive changes. And I know me and everyone at Gen Act is not here for discrimination, and this is just step one, and we fear that it will progress to more extremes.
I'm Isabella Dini. I am UA YAF's vice chair. A group of left-leaning UA student organizations decided to come out here and protest us today because we recently had a bit of a spat kind of with the university. They were enforcing a rule that would require us to put very specific words in our constitution, that it contained a non-discriminatory clause about gender ideology. We were supposed to, endorse the ideas basically that men can be women, women can be men, and we can discriminate against someone's gender identity. Now, YAF is definitely opposed to discrimination of letting people in. We would never not let somebody into our club, but we refuse to adopt this language that endorses gender ideology because it is against our conservative values. We do not believe that women can become men, or that men can become women, or that there's more than two genders, and the university forcing us to put this language into our constitution was very problematic. And it is against an executive order from the Trump administration about DEI. And so, we discussed it with the university, and they were willing to make a carve out for us so that we wouldn't have to concede our values. And these organizations were very upset by this and don't think that YAF should be able to have that carve out. I am very concerned with the growth and expansion of gender ideology because it really is an effort to erase the categories of gender altogether. And especially as a woman, I find this really scary when I see things like Leah Thomas being able to compete with women. He's a man. I wouldn't want to change in a locker room with a man. That's disgusting. And it just is very uncomfortable to me. And I believe in truth. So even if I wouldn't feel, personally affected, generally more men tend to be not personally affected by gender ideology like this. I believe in truth, and I think it's always the right thing to stick up for the truth. So that's why I'm here with some of the other members of my organization, and we want to show that, they do have an opposition.
Give me some action, please. I'm having fun.
Well, what I hope to see happens is that, other student organizations that are also opposed to this new rule, this new language in our constitutions, for student organizations will look at us and be like, hey, I don't agree with that. We should get a carve out as well, because they absolutely should. I'm happy we got the carve out, but frankly, I just think that the rule shouldn't have to be applied to student organizations across the board. I'm concerned about what might happen with sororities and fraternities. Should a sorority have to accept a man because he identifies as a woman? Absolutely not. And so I think in letting us not include that language in our constitution, it's definitely a step in the right direction. And they're pushing to, the people protesting today are pushing to suppress our freedom of speech.